All right, so you see this here. They've had the fewest 20-yard completions there, the lack of explosive plays. Well, Caleb's been doing his homework. He knows the Bears need something more explosive they haven't had. Chicago has just 207 pass plays that gained at least 20 yards in the last 5 seasons. The Giants, the only team with fewer.
Can I just speak real quickly? When you hear Caleb talk, when he uses the phrase, it's a constant battle, we do lose. Because he is so talented. Yeah. He's that description's so accurate because he's so physically gifted. He can do things that you just shouldn't be able to do. But in the NFL, you can do it less, and so the fact that he's aware of having to be like, it's something that I'm going to have to wrestle with. I found that to be impressive.
And they're probably telling him in some ways, like, don't do all of that, but do some of it sometimes.
Correct.
And I can't even imagine. All right, what have you thought so far of his development, what you've seen already?
Yeah, you see the flash. That was the end of the second quarter. I do think 2 things that stood out is, can you play faster in the red zone? They're trying to get a little bit of a fake screen to Odunze, then a seam and a rail shot. You get the perfect coverage for it. You're trying to get that drop-down defender. And I would say, Caleb, you can rip that seam. You're good enough. The pocket's clean enough to throw that seam, but you run around a little bit, hold it, and then you're so gifted again that you can make some of these, what we call funny body off-platform throws. You evade the rush, but you could have just set your feet here, and you're going to make this crosser to Gerald Everett easily, but you throw it with your feet all over the place, and it forces your miss. And the pushback is, well, he's going to do that play at times, and it's going to work, and it's going to be awesome. And then he's going to do that, and it won't. And you're going to be like, set your feet, mechanically you're bad type of stuff. And I think that's the constant battle. So definitely a little faster in the red zone, because that's the reality of the NFL. And then when the feet have to be good and when they don't have to be good.
But that's just who he is, right? You're not going to tell Mahomes what to do. And that's the kind of talent that he has.
No, that's who he is. But, Shefty, it's when it's needed. It wasn't needed there. That's the thing fair. That I think those guys, that's the constant battle in my eyes.
It's like, sitting on a pot of gold, but you can't spend all of it all the time, and you might have the desire to. I don't know. All right, Mina, Caleb wasn't the only thing that stood out to you in this game this weekend. What else did you take away from that Bears defense?
Yeah, if we were playing highlights of Caleb on offense, if we were to do it on defense, it would be Kyler Gordon, who really took over this game on defense for them when he was in. Their starting nickel, just flying around, making incredible open field tackles, blowing up screens. And to me, it was such a reminder that if we do talk about this Bears team being a playoff contender, it will be as much about Caleb. It'll be about this young defense led by a secondary that I think has the potential to be one of the best in the NFL. In Jalen Johnson, they have one of the best zone corners in football. Jaquan Brisker has great instincts as a playmaker at safety. I thought Tyreek Stevenson played good ball for them down the stretch as a rookie. But Gordon, that type of physical nickel who can cover and fit the run so well is so valuable in today's NFL. And to me, such a key to this secondary leading this defense once again this year to finishing strong.
Jayden Daniels will be the 8th different Week 1 starter for the Commanders in the last 8 seasons. This list includes Sam Howell, Carson Wentz, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum, Alex Smith, and Kirk Cousins, who was the last person to start consecutive Week 1s for Washington. That's the most different Week 1 starters by any team in the last 8 seasons, assuming Anthony Richardson starts Week 1 for the Colts. You guys were taking pictures of that.
That's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I know. It's wild. Mina, we've now gotten to see a little bit more of this Cliff Kingsbury offense there in Washington. How do you think it's fitting with Jayden Daniels so far? Because that was one of our big questions going in.
It is, and that's what I found interesting about this. It was, by the way, so funny to watch those highlights after Caleb's because it was a good example of how, both quarterbacks playing wildly different offenses can play really well when they're asked to do wildly different things. But in the case of Daniels, it was obviously clear that they went into this game with the intention of getting the ball quickly out of his hands. You saw, Dan alluded to this, RPOs, that quick hitting play action from the gun I thought was really interesting because he's going to live in the gun. And Dan, what this sort of showed me, and you never want to take too much out of the preseason, is Cliff Kingsbury is going to lean on a lot of this, I think, to mitigate what I feel will be issues with this offensive line. We will see a lot of quick game because Jayden Daniels is very decisive. He is accurate when he throws the ball quick as well. We will see a lot of RPOs. We will see that quick hitting play action, pairing that with, I think, strong rushing attack led by Brian Robinson. To me, that's going to be a huge part of this offense, not just because those are college concepts we saw Jayden Daniels do well at LSU, but because it'll allow them to, address what I feel will be issues in pass protection on longer developing plays.
Well, you're talking about Cliff Kingsbury, right? They also hired Anthony Lynn from the 49ers to coach their run game. So you know they're going to be physical running the football, and you know they're going to run the football to complement the passing game that Cliff Kingsbury institutes.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. You saw some no huddle this week as well. So, I think Washington's very aware, really good quarterback, and they've got pretty darn good perimeter players. So if they can get that offensive line to play at a plus level, they got a chance to have a good offense. I think the biggest question for me, MK, is going to be this. Jayden handled a lot of the protection stuff at LSU. He would make protection changes and whatnot. Yeah. Cliff, that's not necessarily a big part of his offense, and especially when you're playing with tempo. Laura, you played that highlight, but he gets this off-ball defender to pressure, and more often than not, you throw into the pressure. There's two guys open. Jayden just drifts back, and basically this is a wasted play. It's almost like a long foul ball. How much does the comfort level between those two guys get to be on the same page with that? When teams start to give them different pressures, is Jayden going to be good enough to change the protection? Because when I watched that one, I said, well, Jayden obviously realizes it's coming. He feels the pressure, he drifts, and then he just throws it out of bounds. And my question is, how much are they going to empower him? How much can he handle? And then will they be able to handle some of those unique pressures he's going to see in the NFL that he was capable of doing it at LSU, because it's not necessarily Cliff's DNA?
Yeah, you got to think that it's going to grow with time, too.
Sure.
Give him a little bit more as they go. And
yeah,
you also
and how much he's capable of handling it. But it has to be within the foundational rules of your offense as well.
He's completed 80% of his passes this preseason. That's the highest of any quarterback with at least 15 pass attempts. So he's doing quite well so far.
Totally.
Bo Nix is coming off a college career where he set the FBS record for starts by a quarterback with 61. The only player with more yards of total offense was Case Keenum, and just 3 players were responsible for more touchdowns. That's Keenum, Sam Hartman, and Baker Mayfield. The experience that he had in college certainly helps Bo Nix when it comes to this level. I realize it's still preseason, but he's looked good in that offense, as we just showed you. Still a small sample size, but what stands out to you, Dan, about Bo Nix specifically fitting in this Peyton offense?
Yeah, he's their starting quarterback. I would be surprised if it's not announced in the next 24 hours. How quickly the right or proper decision is being made by Bo Nix is the thing that stands out the most. And that's exactly what Sean Payton wants. Just the timing of this. This is a short yardage situation. He goes with a ball fake. He's making the decision to throw to the shallow while the shallow is settling down. Under 3 seconds. I'm talking from the snap to the play being executed. There's that keeper, and you get that defender widening. This ball is getting taken from Bo Nix to Tim Patrick in 3 seconds. Once again, this is 3rd and long. He's going to make this decision to throw the football and get it out of his hands. Tim Patrick is just dropping his hips. This is 2.5 seconds on 3rd and long versus Green Bay's defense. So I say this all the time. Make the right decision, not just a good decision. And not only is he doing that, he's doing it very quickly. And, I liken Sean Payton's offense almost to building Legos. It's you've got to put the right Lego in at the right spot, and if you don't, it's all discombobulated. That's like him as a play caller and a quarterback executing, and he's putting the right Lego in the right place at the right time consistently.
I'm imagining Dan building Legos.
I hate Legos, by the way, because if you're a parent and step on them,
it's like you've been shot. All right, go ahead, Mina.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Dan said. You're seeing a lot of the qualities you saw in college, the quick release, the accuracy throwing on the move, the scrambling ability, and Sean Payton is already showing you that he is doing an excellent job of baking those skills into the offense with the RPOs. I think about the quick hitting play action from the gun. It's really what you wanted to see an offense with Bo Nix look like. I was really impressed. My only question, and Dan, this is something I'm sure we'll talk about over the course of the season, is how do you build verticality off of that, right? Because I think about the Dolphins, where you have a quarterback who has some pretty similar skill sets in terms of the quick release, the accuracy, the anticipation. They're able to build verticality off of that in large part because of the unbelievable speed of their skill players. They get downfield so quickly on concepts where you can't push the ball downfield in other offenses, even if you have a quarterback like that. So how does Denver get to those types of concepts as it shot plays off of play action? Because if they can't, defenses will start squatting on this stuff. So they need to figure that piece out as well.
Yeah, real quick, 3 ways I think that Sean has done it and will. Dulcich will be a one-on-one matchup, so a little bit like he has done with like a Jimmy Graham or a Johnson in New Orleans. Number 2, the hard play-action chunk game that Drew and those receivers got really good at. I think they will in Denver. 3, and it may not make sense to it, like the screen game. And they view that as a vertical element when it comes to the end result. It may not be throwing the ball downfield, but they'll be very good at that as well.
And here's what they say. He's getting better every day at practice. And when you watch him, he pops in games the way that I think very few rookie quarterbacks have. I go back over time and I think, who stood out as a late-round pick or somebody you might not be expecting to pop so early? Russell Wilson did that in Seattle as a rookie.
Sure.
Dak Prescott did that as a rookie. Brock
reminds me a
Purdy
little bit-
did that
Just going to say that.
in San Francisco. And I remember speaking to the 49ers, and I'm like, this guy can play. And they're like, he's showing us something. And I feel the same way every time I'm watching Bo Nix. Like, there is an energy and excitement that comes along with him that I know that organization feels right now. And to me, it's not a question of whether he's going to start. The question is, who's going to be the backup? Is it going to be Zach Wilson?
What do you
or is it
think?
going to be Jarrett Stidham? And I think that race is tightly contested, more tightly contested than the one for the starting quarterback.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Wilson get that chance. Also, they probably feel very validated choosing Bo Nix in the first round now that you're seeing the way that he's competing out there. All right, we're just getting started on NFL Live.